CLYDE PD.
Yeah, hey, Gower, how are you doing?
Okay.
All right. Hey, I'd seen an article there in the newspaper a couple weeks, well, probably a couple months ago, with Sheriff Overmeyer and the whole situation with that jurisdiction issue. And I read an article where it seemed like he asked your agency to step down, and you know, you had thrown some comments back about, you know, it was certainly unprofessional of him to do that, and you were considering running for sheriff. And I thought that was interesting, and it caught my attention. So I guess I wanted to give you a call and maybe see about, maybe we can probably help each other out on that particular issue, because I really don't like seeing Kyle Overmeyer as a sheriff either. So, you know, I mean, obviously I'm digging up probably some old stones, I'll be quite honest with you. And what's caught my attention is, with you in the article, with your handling of an officer, Troy Keegan, and putting him on suspension or whatever for illegal use of, you know, the computer for fingerprints. So, I mean, that starts to show some character of, like, you're the type of guy that's going to stand up against corruption. That's kind of the sense I got.
We won't tolerate.
What's that?
That's one thing I won't tolerate is corruption.
Right.
I mean, I think the police have to live to a little higher standard than the average person does.
Right. I agree. And, you know, trying to find somebody that would be suitable to replace Kyle Overmeyer, you know, I mean, obviously you kind of already put it out there, so I've just seen some things just from, you know, standing out. So I'd like to try to figure something out on that level. You know, I mean, I know you and I have got our own little, if you will, issues, so to speak, but I don't think that, you know, our little conflict is anything that's of, you know, the future for Sandusky County. So, you know, because I don't know what your, you know, how your feelings are with Brock Kimmett. I don't know if you like him, if you don't like him. I like the guy. I was talking to him back in January about the conduct of Kyle Overmeyer. You know, I went to the commissioners' meetings to talk to them about the conduct of Tom Sternwall and Kyle Overmeyer and his, you know, attitude for law enforcement. And I'm going to point it out right now, you know, I don't approve of, you know, inmates being combative with officers. I wasn't there when my friend Craig Burdine was murdered in the custody of the Sandusky County Sheriffs. His death was ruled a homicide, and in my opinion, people need to be held accountable. You know, at what level, I don't know. But, you know, the way the investigations have been handled, the way Kyle Overmeyer handled it, is not good, man. I mean, that's not that's not respectable to law enforcement. Does that make sense? When you're covering up homicides?
Right, that would not be the case.
You know? So that's kind of the angle I'm coming from, because Craig had a lot of friends, man, and a lot of his friends know that Craig was murdered. So that's just a little bit of a platform that's kind of starting to get passed around the community, if you will, as far as, okay, I mean, you know, when elections come. Does that make any kind of sense as far as, I don't know, trying to, like I said, anything I can do to help get Kyle Overmeyer out of there, kind of, you know, it vindicates some type of justice for some people who have just deliberately, you know, been victims of corruption. Because I'm one of them. You know, you probably don't know all the details of the corruption I've been exposed to, you know, but that's, you know, part of the legal issues that I'm dealing with right now.
Right, that's not neither here or
right.
Me. I mean,
yeah, you know. They
have legal before, and I have no issue with that. But there was a lot of things I assume that will probably come out when I announce I'm going to run against him. And I think he's got a lot of skeletons in the closet that will probably come out on investigations and things that I don't think he handled very well.
Right.
But, you know, that'll be my opinion, and he can say what he wants at the end of the day on that.
Right. But, I mean, it's
it'll be a tough battle. It's hard to unseat an incumbent, but if I decide to run, which I probably will, it's going to be a hard battle.
Well, I mean, if I can, I would like to be able to, you know, I'm researching, I'll be honest with you, sir, I'm researching how to practice the common law system with law to try to enforce the arrest of public officials that are guilty of crimes, you know. And I think that that's probably one good way that you can probably conquer the platform, okay? Because citizens are entitled to become what is known as private attorney generals if done the proper way and the proper paperwork is filed. And at that point, we just need to find the man and the sheriff that's willing to stand up and say, I will arrest the sheriff. So at the end of the day, are you going to be that man if we get you the warrant?
Well, I can't serve a warrant on the sheriff by law.
No.
The person can serve a warrant on the sheriff by law, I believe, is either a common pleas judge or the coroner, one of the two.
It would be the coroner. So first it has to be a collection of people and the voters, we the people. First we have to draft up a grand jury foreman, then we have to draft up an indictment, and we'll follow all the proper procedures to ensure that the common law judge recognizes the common law grand jury once it's been convened. And I assure you, all the evidence will be laid out beforehand, because at the end of the day, you and I both know there is a murderer in office of the sheriff, and that's fraud upon the people, and that's under color of law, and that's huge violations. So we're going to pursue it, absolutely, because there's more people than there is little Kyle Overmeyers, okay? I just want to be able to say, hey, I know a guy that is willing to do it once he's got the legal authority to do so.
Well, if I'm elected sheriff, I will investigate any and all crimes. There will be no cover-ups of anything. If it's a public official, it's a public official. If it's one of my officers, it's one of my officers. It's, you know, there's more to the taking the oath of office than just walking around and going to parties and kissing babies, as the old saying goes.
Mm-hmm.
And I take that oath pretty serious, and I take the Constitution pretty serious, and that's what I'll do my job by.
All right. Okay, that's what we're looking for, and that's, I mean, you know, sir, you and I both know that, you know, things are out of control at all different levels in this country. I mean, you know, so the only thing that does it right is by people that are going to actually say, okay, we're done looking the other way, you know. And I just want to say, I appreciate seeing that article with you taking action against some of the deputies that think that they work for the law, they're above the law. Because at the end of the day, we are all equal. That's the way I see things, you know. So, all right, well, hey, I appreciate you calling me and we having this conversation. We'll be talking again if you're open to a dialogue of communication about this. Because, again, like I said, you know, I have a mission to remove Kyle Overmeyer from office. And I'm telling you, I'm going to do it 100%, you know, through the paperwork system, of course, you know. And I'd like to be able to advocate amongst my friends and peers and colleagues that vote who's a good candidate to replace him.
Well, I appreciate it, and
okay.
I'll do what I can do. And like I said, if it's within the Constitution, if I have that job, I'll enforce the law.
All right. That sounds good. That's what I wanted to hear, Chief Gower. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.
Have a good day, sir.
All right, Brian. See you.
Bye. Hey, Bruce Gower, Brian Koth, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good.
You're good. All right. Got a couple things to ask you about. First and foremost, I sent you a complaint 90 days ago. It was delivered. You acknowledged it. There was a ledger in there. Do you want to settle on that, or do you want me to turn it into collections and start putting liens on property?
That'd be fine.
That'd be fine? Okay. I'll take that course of action. Second thing. Had an officer harass my vehicle and my occupants of the vehicle. Is there some kind of unfinished business CLYDE police have with me?
I have no idea what you're talking about, so.
You don't know what I'm talking about?
I have to get moving here. I got a meeting in about 5 minutes.
You're in a meeting right now, buddy, because every one of your police officers is running around Clyde, Ohio, asking where Brian Koth is. And I'm Brian Koth. What do you want? Yeah, well, you just seen I owned Bruce Gower, because he's... Yes, Bruce Gower, please. Yeah, he's an ignorant little bitch and hung up on me, so I'll leave a message with his voicemail. Thank you. Yeah, hey, Bruce Gower. Since you want to hang up on me, this was all on record, your conduct. You will not become sheriff. Enjoy your last years of law enforcement because your law career is over. Good luck getting out of that $7.5 million you owe me, you pig.
It's Chief Bruce Gower. I'm away from my desk. We're unable to take your call at this time. Please leave me your name, your phone number, and a message, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Please leave a message at the tone. When finished, you may hang up or press pound for additional options.
Yeah, hey, Bruce Gower, just want to talk about perjury and make sure you understand fully what it means. Make sure you've checked all public records before you make any statements against me for defamation of character. You or any of your officers or any of your crackhead informants, one by the name of Danny Bloxam, one by the name of Jeffrey Stanley. I hope that they are sworn police officers of the law that practice Constitution, because remember, you and I had a conversation about corruption and constitutional officers. And I hope that your drug-addicted, battery acid snorting, I don't know what you want to call them, drug addicts, that you call police officers are doing their job fully and completely. And again, I advise you to check the public record. I can give you a case number, 14 CR 763. There's a couple of nice affidavits you would find fitting. One where it would be, I made a declaration to the public of good faith. My mailing address was 1770 County Road 213. So as you unlawfully still try to keep my mail from me that you stole from that address, you're just digging yourself a hole, buddy. You should release the mail that you stole from me and put it back in the mailbox and quit trying to create a fictional case, because it's not going to work. There's too much evidence that outweighs your drug addicts who have 2 houses up for police foreclosure, mind you. Okay? It's pretty clear and obvious that if you're receiving statements from Danny Bloxam, Stanley, she's simply saying what you need to hear. Good move, but it's not going to work. So, have a nice day. If you want to give me a call back to discuss any of your little bullshit investigations that you think you've got going, feel free, buddy. Area code 248-328-5236. I got nothing to hide. Hell, if you want to come up and look at my marijuana farm, bud, I'll give you a tour and I'll talk to you about how it cures cancer. I'm absolutely all about it. I'll show you my doctor's fucking excuse and all my medical records if you need to see how my face has been shattered into 8 pieces. Okay, so come on, bro. You can come up and have a talk with me any day you want. Or you can just continue to hide behind your desk in the corrupt manner that you are. But the spotlight's on you, Jack. We'll talk to you later. Have a nice day, Bruce. Hey, what's happening? Alright. Today's an interesting day. It's July 21st. Had some good news yesterday, got some bad news today. Confirmation that CLYDE Police Department of CLYDE, Ohio, of Sandusky County, where the core of corruption continues to linger, and these people call themselves Americans. They're not Americans. They are treasonous traitors to the Constitution of the United States of America. You see behind me this flag there. And everybody wants to wonder, oh, hey, ooh. Nah, I'm going to jump on that issue for just 1 second and 1 second only. Some might perceive that flag as a sign of racism and use it as an excuse to promote their evil hatred. Educate yourself. That flag right there represents freedom, away from slavery, states' rights, individual rights, to be left alone, to be left alone. You don't see any gold fringe hanging around this flag here. And you notice when you go into the courtroom, that gold fringe flag is hanging there. It's not this. It's because that's where your martial law exists. Everybody runs around and says, oh, hey, they're going to impose martial law. They're going to impose martial law. Hey, martial law has been around for 200 years since the Civil War. Abe Lincoln put us into martial law, but only where it counts. The judicial system. That bar. And that is where the treason and the traitors are lingering. As one becomes educated in the law and becomes a lawyer, one well advised and can exercise his rights to the fullest and understands where he or she is at all times in law, is a lawyer. Then you get with the attorneys. The attorneys that take an oath to the London Justice. That's right, London Justice. Look it up. Black's Law Dictionary, 8th edition, 2004, page 446. It will describe to you in detail what the bar is. So when you go and you get in trouble, as they put it, and you have to go hire a attorney, as they claim, to defend you, it's rubbish. It's just a way to extort money out of you, out of me, the free individual, the free person of flesh, as you must put it. They've made it more than obvious. One might say, man, Brian, why are you so passionate about your rights being violated? Because I've got to be careful with my language now, because with them flying around, oh, terrorist, that, domestic this, you're a patriot, da-da-da-da-da. Man, you got to just say, I'm a human being of flesh. And that might sound really crazy, but back to the attorneys and da-da-da-da. This is what they call the straw man. This is the straw man of me. A year and a half ago, my 15-year-old daughter attempted suicide, and her mother neglected to take her to the hospital. And it was on record within this straw man paperwork here that Life Squad failed to respond, police failed to respond. And so we just swept it under the rug. My 15-year-old attempts suicide on her life, and it's under the rug. It comes to my attention 3 days later of the neglect. And so I immediately take my daughter to my emergency room. I contact all agencies, law enforcement, children's services, everybody. By the end of the night, I met with the police at the emergency room, and custody is given back to Mom. Wow, right? Blown away. You wouldn't think that could happen, but it did. Okay. I walked away. Hands up in the air. Okay. So now we fast forward into June of 2014, where my daughter becomes arrested for domestic violence that took place in the home of her mother and the stepdad, where there's a history, huge history, that Sandusky County, CLYDE, Ohio, Mr. Bruce Gower is fully aware of, because of records in the straw man. But they still don't do anything. They still just look the other way like it doesn't exist. Like if they ignore it, it will go away. So at the end of the day, we fast forward now to September of 2014, when Tom Sternwall, Sandusky County prosecutor, convenes a grand jury and chooses to indict me criminally. Now here's the charge. For taking my daughter to the hospital. Yeah, you heard right. I was charged with the felony of custodial interference of a minor under the age of 18. 1 year in prison. So I had to immediately show up to the summons. They came across state line into Michigan, where I live, and said, "You must appear, Brian Coe. You're charged with a 5th-degree felony for trying to take your daughter for medical attention on your own visitation day. Documented." By this time in September, all government agencies in Sandusky County have still chose to look the other way and ignore the original complaints of the medical neglect to begin with. They don't want to answer that. Then they don't want to answer about the domestic violence that took place in June. They didn't want to answer to that either. They just kept it hidden. So now they want to try to put me in prison, and they find out that my daughter is now living with me. What? Yeah, that's right. My daughter is living with me. In fact, at the arraignment of the charge in September, I am telling the judge and the attorney, my daughter's living with me now. You should probably just drop the charges. But they insisted that I go hire a federal attorney. And they bait me. And of course, you'll view my records backlogged. I have a lovely conversation with my attorney where he billed me for 6 hours alone in drive time. Because I've got it like that. 6 hours alone in drive time I had to pay $1,000. And why? Because Tom Sternwall abused his authority as a public official. Oh, but wait a minute. How does Kyle Overmeyer draw into this? Because it was his sheriff department that I first reported the medical neglect to in February, as I'm taking my daughter in the hospital. But yet, 8 hours later, they take a report from my ex-wife who says I'm kidnapping her. I'm sorry, I notified the local officials that I'm taking her to the hospital, but now I'm kidnapping her 8 hours later. But they don't even file charges. They don't start to file charges till my daughter says, okay, I want to go back home and live with my dad. 6 months later. In September. So, now what, right? Just put it in writing, right? Just make it public record, right? That's all you got to do, right? Follow common law grand jury stuff, right? Okay, look. How much more do I need to put it in writing? Okay? It's gone to the federal courts. Oh yeah, look. See that? Let's just walk through this for a moment. Everybody knows about this. Constitutional criminal complaint. Okay? There's rules set up and put in place now. So, if all of the bar attorneys are going to keep public record down and quiet and strike this and redact that, this is fucking America. And if I gotta broadcast this shit from the moon, that's what I'm gonna do. Fuck all you censoring motherfuckers. Now I'm angry. Do you know why I'm angry? Because you are shredding the Constitution right in my face. You are shredding the Bill of Rights right in my face. Who the fuck do you think you are? This is real. I send you mail. You sign for it. You're obligated by law to respond in writing in 90 days. These are laws that were in place before you even had rights. You came to this country and broke treaties with my people. Oh yeah, I may be white as you can see with the naked fucking eye, but you better believe my great-granddaddy Jesse was Cherokee Indian, and you motherfuckers came in and robbed me of my land and my fucking inheritance. And you better believe I'm fucking angry right now, because I was promised in that blood the protection of property, motherfucker. And you're denying me now my true protection of property. So I'm entitled to at least express myself before you have an opportunity to try to fucking mute me one last time. Because I know you soul-hunting motherfuckers are out to get me. You've made it more than obvious. You don't return my phone calls. You don't return my mail. All you have to do is just show me your discovery. 100% full disclosure. That's what's written since 1774. That was written. Now, you come over here and you steal my resources. You bring other races here and think that you can breed them on this land to cut the travel time down on the production of slaves. And as long as they continue to go to work and make that money for you, you purge and steal the land. Well, you know what? Do what you got to do. People are waking up. It's all good. People are waking up. They're going to see this one, and they're going to know, wow. There's a case number out there, 315-CV-639. I put it in writing, and I made my damages known to the public. And I hope the public is aware and wakes up, and I hope they pick up and they take notice, and I hope they take their red pens. I hope they take their red pens to the election polls, man, in November, and they say, no more! No more fraud. We want our Constitution back. Otherwise, all you guys that went out there and fought wars for my country and my flag, you did it in vain. My people fought for true sharing of the land, and you people, your government just took it. The United States government has been hijacked. You better believe it. Our offices have been hijacked by tyrant attorneys. And they work for the British Crown, and they do not have our best interest in mind. You need to research it. You need to educate yourself. You better get it going, because they're moving in on it. And they know this. Power to the people. One Republican individual, no majority. You know? No majority. Simple settlements on some of these things that I've asked for. You know. Simple things. Stop treating my people like they're peasants. Human life has value. That's what I've asked for. Stop putting poison in the water. Stop allowing drug addicts to run the street. Stop putting the drugs on the street. That's what I've asked for. Instead, you want to try to make a criminal out of me. Yeah, I'm angry about that. Because I see you trying to make a criminal out of me through the straw man with all the paperwork. I see it happening right in front of me. And as I try to take the preliminary steps in advance, ooh, wait a minute. I think you guys are off a little bit on your speculation. You should probably sit down and have a cup of coffee or tea, whichever you desire. You can drink that rat poison Pepsi-Cola, Coca-Cola, whatever. But that probably, no wonder you think the way you do. So, you can think I'm crazy, but you can only have 3 chickens in your backyard. It's only a matter of time before you're not allowed to speak out against those who own you. It's coming, people. It's coming. They have hijacked the United States government. They have contempt of Constitution. You should probably fellowship within your churches. Pray to Yahshua. Take the guidance. Get your congregation. Form your grand juries. Draw up the indictments. You only need a grand jury foreman. 25 people in your local community. That's what a grand jury indictment is. Force it on them. Make the sheriff. Get them gone. Find somebody that's willing to stand up and do the right thing. If not, they're going to sell you out. And it's just a matter of time. Everybody's number's going to get pulled one day. You'll see. You know, just a matter of time. We're 5% of this planet. And there's a lot of people that would rather live here than you and I. Well, let me rephrase that. There's a lot of other people, they want to live here rather you and I. Because you and I, we understand human kindness, compassion, understanding. They don't want that type over here. They just want the type that, yes sir, no sir. Yes ma'am, no ma'am. Where do you want me to bury my head at? Yes ma'am, no ma'am. Yes sir, no sir. And can I have your permission, if it so desires, please? May I have this over here? May I please have a little bit of peace? May I please have a little bit of safe water? May I please have a little bit of safe air to breathe? Because I know you did create it, government. Okay. That's how our government's been hijacked, under color of law. Our public officials can't be trusted anymore. And you should probably start to draw out your 4th Continental Congress. I would strongly advise to get your brothers and sisters and your neighbors together nightly and start meeting and talking. Alright, well, I don't know. That's where we're at for June 21st. There's a lot of passion going on right now. You know, it's frustrating when you see these people that they have this authority position and they want you to obey the rules, but when you put the rules right back in on them and you want them to follow their own rules, they act like they don't have to. It's like royalty, privilege, but they don't understand what. There's no immunity for any of you. They run around and say, "Whoa, I've got immunity. I've got immunity to totally violate your rights." No, you don't have that immunity. I don't know who taught you that. But I tell you, if the law schools are teaching you that, then the law schools should probably be shut down. Okay? Woe to the law school if that's what you're teaching them. So, alright, that's all I got. Joshua.